You know what's hard? Letting something end when every part of you still wants to fix it. We're wired to hold on. To people, to stories, to memories that no longer serve us, but somehow feel like home because they're familiar. The human mind doesn't crave happiness as much as it craves certainty. And that's why endings scare us. Not because they're painful, but because they remind us how little control we actually have. Letting it end is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's the moment you decide that your peace is worth more than your pride, that your sanity matters more than staying in something that's slowly draining the life out of you. There's a kind of bravery in saying, "This is over." Because when you do, you stop waiting for someone else to choose your peace for you. You choose it yourself. Most people keep fighting for closure like it's a prize someone else owes them. But closure doesn't come from conversations. It comes from acceptance. You don't need their apology, their explanation, or their validation to move forward. You need your own permission to stop replaying what broke you. Because closure is not a door someone else closes. It's one you lock behind you when you realize the story has already ended. The truth is, some things don't need to end with a perfect goodbye. Sometimes the lesson ends mid-sentence, and that's okay. The universe doesn't always give you a clean break. It gives you a messy one so you can learn what it means to stand on your own. You might not understand it today, but one day you'll look back and realize that the ending you resisted was the beginning you needed. Letting something end means letting go of control. Control is seductive. It makes us believe that if we just try harder, love more, explain better, things will change. But control is an illusion disguised as effort. It keeps you looping the same pain, expecting a different result. And the hardest truth to accept is that sometimes no amount of effort can fix what someone else is committed to breaking. There's a deep kind of self-respect in saying, "This isn't good for me anymore." That sentence alone can feel like a revolution. Because when you stop chasing people or situations that constantly leave you empty, you start teaching the world how to treat you. Letting it end is an act of emotional maturity. It's not an emotional breakdown, it's an awakening. We often confuse endurance with loyalty. We think staying is proof of love, when sometimes it's proof of fear, fear of being alone, fear of regret, fear of starting over. But here's the truth, endings don't destroy you, they define you. Every time something ends, you evolve. You shed an old version of yourself. You stop trying to fix things outside of you and start strengthening what's inside you. Letting go isn't about being cold or detached. It's about understanding that love doesn't mean losing yourself. When something ends, it's not about erasing what was good. It's about accepting what's real. You can be grateful for what it taught you and still walk away from what it costs you. You can appreciate the chapter without rereading it until it hurts. Sometimes, the only closure you need is the quiet realization that you deserve more peace than chaos. That's it. Not a dramatic ending, not a perfect explanation, just peace. The kind of peace that comes from no longer needing things to go the way you imagined. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from the things themselves, but from our thoughts about them." The pain of an ending doesn't come from the loss itself. It comes from the mental tug of war between holding on and letting go. When you stop resisting reality, the suffering starts to dissolve. You begin to see endings not as failures, but as natural transitions, like the seasons. You can't hold on to summer forever, no matter how warm it felt. Endings are not punishment, they are protection. Sometimes life removes what you thought you wanted because it knows what you truly need. You might think you lost something valuable, but what you really lost was the illusion that it was meant for you, and that's freedom. Here's the psychology behind it. When you stay attached to what's already over, your brain stays stuck in a loop of what ifs. You become emotionally addicted to unfinished stories. But the moment you declare something has ended, your mind begins to recalibrate. You start creating new neural pathways that are focused on the future, not the past. That's why saying, "It's over," is so powerful. It's not just words. It's a signal to your brain that it's time to rebuild. And rebuilding is where real growth begins. When you finally allow something to end, you stop being defined by what you lost and start being defined by what you learned. You stop trying to understand why it ended and start asking, what did it teach me? That's how pain becomes wisdom. You see, Endings are not just about walking away from others. They're about walking back to yourself. Every time you choose to let something end, you reclaim a piece of your energy that was scattered trying to keep something alive that was already gone. That's self-love in its truest forms, not the soft, aesthetic version of it, but the kind that hurts at first and heals you later. You don't owe anyone an explanation for moving on. You don't owe the past another conversation. You owe yourself the peace of a new beginning. Because the truth is, the longer you fight to keep something from ending, the longer you delay your own healing. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is simply walk away without bitterness, without resentment, just with clarity. Letting it end is not about giving up, it's about growing up. It's realizing that the same strength you use to hold on can be used to let go. It's knowing that endings don't mean your story is over. They mean the next chapter is waiting, but it can't start until you close this one. So if you're standing in that space right now, between what was and what will be, breathe. You're not losing your life, you're reclaiming it. Let it end. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself. And maybe that's the lesson life keeps trying to teach us, that peace isn't found in what continues, it's found in what concludes. Pain is a strange teacher. It doesn't whisper, it screams. It doesn't ask for permission, it forces its way in. And yet, as uncomfortable as it is, pain is the first honest signal that something in your life needs attention. The truth is, you can't heal from what you refuse to feel. That's why the hardest part of growth isn't letting go. It's letting it hurt first. When something breaks your heart, your instinct is to escape it. You distract yourself, bury the emotions, stay busy, keep scrolling, do anything to avoid feeling the sting of it. But pain doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It waits. It buries itself deep, disguises itself as anger, bitterness, overthinking, or the need to control everything around you. The more you suppress it, the louder it gets in other forms. That's why I say, let it hurt. Let it hurt so it can leave your system. You have to understand this pain is data. It's emotional feedback that something is wrong, something needs to change. If you numb the pain, you numb the lesson. Pain, in its rawest form, is the body and mind's way of saying, wake up, pay attention. This is where the growth lives. And it's okay if that hurts, because hurt doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. We live in a world that celebrates quick recovery. Move on, they say. Don't cry, they say. But healing doesn't obey deadlines. Emotional wounds don't heal on a schedule. You can't rush something that requires you to feel your way through it. When you allow yourself to hurt, you're not falling apart, you're cleaning out the infection. You're giving yourself permission to release what's been poisoning your peace. Healing, though, that's the part most people misunderstand. Healing isn't a single moment of relief, it's a long, often repetitive process of choosing to stop reopening the same wound. Healing doesn't mean the pain disappears overnight, it means you stop letting it define you. It means you start seeing pain as something that happened to you, not something that is you. Real healing requires awareness. You have to sit with the discomfort long enough to learn what it's trying to teach you. That's where emotional intelligence comes in, the ability to understand your feelings without being ruled by them. Emotional maturity doesn't mean you don't feel hurt. It means you don't let the hurt dictate your worth. You'll notice that healing doesn't happen when you get answers. It happens when you stop needing them. It begins the moment you stop trying to make sense of why they did what they did or why life unfolded the way it did, and instead focus on what it revealed about you. Healing shifts your perspective from, why me, to, what is this trying to teach me? Philosophically, that's the difference between suffering and transformation. Suffering is resistance, transformation is acceptance. When you resist your pain, you prolong it. When you accept it, you begin to reshape it. Healing is the art of acceptance in motion. It's saying, this hurt me deeply, but it will not define the rest of my life. There's a psychological reason this matters so much. When you fully feel and process your emotions, your brain creates new neural pathways associated with resolution and peace. But when you suppress emotions, your brain associates them with danger, and that's why they keep resurfacing. Every time you face your pain with courage instead of avoidance, you rewire your mind toward resilience. You literally teach your nervous system that you can survive heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, and come out stronger. And then comes the hardest, most liberating step, letting it go. People often confuse letting go with giving up, but they're not the same thing. Giving up is rooted in defeat. Letting go is rooted in wisdom. It's recognizing that no amount of overthinking, analyzing, or regretting can rewrite the past. You stop trying to fix what's already ended and start reclaiming the energy you've been pouring into the impossible. Letting go isn't about pretending it never happened. It's about accepting that it did. You can acknowledge the hurt, appreciate the lesson, and still move forward without carrying the pain. That's emotional freedom. It's when your mind stops living in yesterday's conversation and your heart starts beating for tomorrow's possibilities. The truth is, you can't fully heal if you keep reopening the wound for attention, closure, or validation. Healing doesn't come from explaining your pain, it comes from releasing your need to relive it. Sometimes peace arrives the moment you stop needing justice and start choosing forgiveness. Not for them, but for yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you've reached a place where your peace matters more than your pain. It's a quiet declaration: you no longer get to live rent-free in my mind. That's when healing evolves into strength. And when you reach that point, when you've let it hurt, let it heal, and now you're ready to let it go, you'll feel something shift inside you. You'll realize that the pain didn't destroy you, it refined you. You'll see how much lighter life feels when you stop dragging the past into your present. Think about it, everything you've ever healed from has made you wiser, more patient, more compassionate. Pain breaks you open in ways comfort never could. It shows you your depth, your endurance, your ability to rebuild from ruins.